1, 2, 3, 4. Those are numbers, but you already knew that. If you want to know what number you're going to pay each month for your car, use Kelly Blue Book My Wallet on Auto Trader. They're really good at numbers. Auto Trader.
I am leading the way through the menopause maze with my vitamins, my melatonin sleep patches, my bioidentical estrogen cream, progesterone cream, a touch of testosterone. She's the hormone whisperer.
And hello, welcome to Unequal Sequel. My name is Dave. I'm one of the two hosts of this juicy podcast.
Oh, and I'm Rich, and I'm the other host of this juicy podcast. Think of me as Vincent to Dave's Jules. I love a Royale with cheese, and he's a righteous motherfucker.
I like that one. That was good. The premise of Unequal Sequel is very simple. We ask our guests for their best ever sequel, worst ever sequel, and finally their dream sequel.
And of course, because it's us, we often drift off and talk about other things, not just movies, but also life in general, whatever just happens to crop up in the conversation.
We should also point out we do love giving out spoilers, particularly in this one. The best sequel is a very recent sequel, so be prepared. But if you don't want to know about it, don't want any information or any spoilers, go downstairs or upstairs or wherever you are, make yourself a cocktail. Cocktails are great.
Ooh, cocktail, nice.
And then come back, because it will be good. On today's episode, we are joined by Ashanti Omkar.
Ashanti is a brilliant film, TV and culture critic. She's been on the BBC, Total Film, Metro, The Guardian, Time Out, loads and loads of different places. You can find her on the telly, on the radio, telling us all about brilliant movies that we should be watching.
Yeah, because we're very excited to sit down with Ashanti and chat all things sequels with her.
These are Ashanti Omkar's Unequal Sequels. Enjoy.
Do you remember the first sequel you got excited about? So it could be when you were young or whenever, really, but the first one that really made an impact on you.
Actually, considering how horrible Transformers 2 was, I was when I saw Transformers 1, I just wanted a sequel because I saw that film like 4 times.
Wow.
In cinema, which I didn't think I would like it so much. I'm not sure why I liked it, whether it was just some kind of nostalgic element from Transformers as a child and seeing it all come to life, larger than life, kind of on the super screen at Cineworld, and I just wanted to see it again and again. And of course, then the sequel came, so enough said about that. But yes, That was the one. That was the one I was just so excited about.
So were you a big Michael Bay fan beforehand?
No,
were you a fan of Transformers? Because Rich is a massive Transformers
I'm a really big Transformers fan, yeah.
I was, as a child, I remembered it a lot. And I was just fascinated. I was always, when I think about it now, I think I was a bit of a geeky girl because I was into computers and cars and went and did computer science at uni. Amazing. And was doing further maths at uni, so I probably was more of a geek than I realized. And yes, I think I just was fascinated by the fact that these were gadgets that would turn into almost people and could move around and talk. And that for me was huge. So when they announced a sequel, I was so happy. And then they gave us that horrific sequel. Oh.
Yeah. And what did you think of that sequel? Can you go into more detail why you thought it was horrific?
Why it was horrific? Well, I think it was just so bloated and overlong. And I felt like, Michael Bay does make some movies that I really enjoy. I do like explosions and stuff like that. But with that, I just sat there cringing the whole way through thinking, what is going on? I can see Rich is laughing.
It's just when you said I do like explosions, because that's exactly what I think of Michael Bay. It's just like explosions.
I like Jason Statham films. I like Michael Bay films. I like watching them, but I guess it's just that particular sequel, everything went wrong with it. Everything he did right in the first movie, he gave us something to root for. All of that was there, and then I'm not sure what happened. LSD, maybe?
I can defend the second one. It did come at that point where there was a massive writer's strike on. They couldn't stop the machine that is the juggernaut of the Transformers movie.
That doesn't excuse the incredibly messy CGI nonsense.
That probably is true. Or the editing. The editing is unforgivable.
Yeah.
in the Transformers films, because Michael Bay likes to work with apparently like 5 editors. So he gets different editors to chop up different bits. And that's why none of his films are coherent. They're all just like music videos and stuff like that. But yeah, it did have a writer's strike, so they didn't film it with a script. I think when you've got like Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox writing their dialogue,
Yeah.
you're going to be in trouble.
And yeah, it was just so kind of incoherent. And I guess also, in the first one, he kept the humor was there and it was good. And in this, it was in the gutter, I thought. And that's
the first one. They kind of kept a bit of the characterization from the original stories and the original movie. Like the characterization of the characters was that even if they didn't look the same, which a lot of fanboys hated, but I don't mind if they look different. The characterization was good. The second film, my God, the characters were awful. They're just terrible or non-existent.
There's the annoying twins.
Twins.
Really bad stereotypes. I remember that. And then one of the Transformers had balls at one point. The big thing.
Yeah. Devastator.
It was just that toilet humor was just too much.
That's the choice, isn't it? Let's give that Transformers testicles. Disgusting. So you only saw that one once, did you?
Oh gosh, I just about. I mean, it was one of those films that I should have just walked out and saved a couple.
First of all, have you ever done that?
Oh my gosh, it was one of the Jackass movies. Oh,
What?
I'm sorry to say, the latest one I quite enjoyed, but I think it might have been the second one.
Is it just too much?
Something just irked me, and I just had to leave.
I can understand that.
I just had to leave.
Right.
It was just I can't remember what it was.
They are very extreme.
Yeah. My dad doesn't watch it. He watched once after he went out for a meal, came back, he watched the man eat an omelette, sick up the omelette, and then eat the omelette again. And then my dad threw up the meal in our hallway carpet. Instead of like trying to clean up the carpet, it was an old carpet. He just ripped the carpet in half and threw it outside. He's like, well, we're getting a new carpet.
What? Oh gosh, that might have been the same Jackass movie I watched, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So how do you feel about Transformers now? Like 3, 4, 5? What are we on now? 6, 7?
We've started again now, Dave. Bumblebee starts again.
Yeah, but what about the rubbish ones? There was Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
The moon.
They were all bad. I think he made that first fantastic film.
Yeah.
And then just lost it. That's what I feel. And then came Travis Knight and giving us Bumblebee, which was absolutely fantastic.
Really good.
And it gave us the goddess that is Haley Steinfeld. I mean, what can I say? She's just come in and stolen all our hearts. And it was really, really, really good. I felt like they've given, and I think all of us just wanted Optimus Prime to do cool things. And, him coming back in this gave us all the vibes, and the other ones just completely lost their way. I'm not sure if others have come on this podcast and just said how awful the rest
people have.
People have, and I certainly have.
You were like,
they're too long. Too long.
Yes, length is. I think if you can give us length, but give us something to watch that makes the time go by. I have no problems with it. I'm quite often, I've watched loads of Bollywood movies. You get an interval in between, but those are like 3 hours long. Sometimes it's just nearly 4 hours you have to spend in the cinema because that film is so long. You've got interval, you've got trailers, you've got, adverts, all of that. And it's like, But some of those are, and some of them are really bad as well. Not going to lie to you, but we've seen, we've all seen the Marvel movies, and we know that they're giving us that length, but we're okay with it. It's well edited. The storylines are great. We're keeping up with things. They're giving us nice little surprises. So we know that we can sit through these, and our bladders might only be 137 minutes long, but we can push them out for a bit.
Sometimes not even that long. I'm getting old.
I would love an interval. Love an interval in the middle of the films.
It would be good, right?
I would,
we went and
definitely.
saw Batman together, and Rich went twice.
I did. That's true.
And then he came back the second time, and I went, "There's still an hour to go."
You have to prepare. This is my advice. So when I go on radio and talk about certain movies that are long, I'm saying, look,
it was my
don't
fault.
drink fizzy drinks. Even things like popcorn, try to avoid those. Have like a normal but a good kind of protein filled meal, and try and go to the loo just before. So just give yourself less than 10 minutes as the window before the film starts.
All good advice.
Yeah, and then
This is someone who knows.
Yeah. When I watched, I saw Doctor Strange the other day. I went to the press screen as well. I pretty much dehydrated myself for the day. I was like, I'm not having any water.
Very clever.
Because they're not easy. Those screenings are not easy to get out of if you need a piss.
No, when you're
especially in the middle
IMAX screen, if you're in the middle and you have to cross like 30 people on each side of you to get to the loo, it's almost impossible, and everyone will tutter at you. And
I've been to screenings when I haven't come back. Honestly, I'm just like, I'm not doing that again. I'm just sitting on the end. I'm going to find a random seat. I'm not. I did it in Endgame. I did it in Ghostbusters not too long ago. I was like, oh, God, these pale people in the dark. I'm not very coordinated as it is, so it's just trouble. But I like sitting by myself. It's fine.
Me too. I mean, the cinema is, at the end of the day, it's not the most social of things. You have to be quiet. I mean, those very annoying people who are not quiet, like you just want to strangle them because they're nattering during a movie or holding a popcorn bag and then caressing it, and you can just hear that noise because they're so close to you, and
crisps.
Stop and Chris, oh, why? So it's fine. I'm happy to go to movies by myself too.
Yeah, me too. In fact, that's my preferred way to go to the movies.
Definitely. In fact, Transformers 1, I think I saw it with people only the first time, and all the other times I just went by myself. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Came out smiling every time.
Yeah, I can't understand people that won't do it by themselves, because all you need is someone to chat to you before the film starts.
Yes.
And you can easily take a podcast with you for that point, or a magazine until that point, and then cheering. I remember watching Black Panther, and this kid in front of me had a massive bag of Doritos, and I was just waiting until he ended, and he finished, and I was like, oh. Then he pulled out another bag of Doritos, and he just kept going. What is your best ever sequel?
I mean, I have to say Spider-Man No Way Home.
Brilliant.
Just
recent one.
It's very recent, and it's one of those films that, what can I say? It's obviously it's a huge, big budget kind of tentpole movie, but they gave us, the nostalgia. They gave us the fan service. They gave us, all those villains. Yeah. They gave us, this is a huge spoiler warning. I'm hoping everyone who's listening in has already seen it, because
we give them a spoiler warning at the start. It's okay.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
A huge warning there, because they gave us all the villains. They gave us a bit of, the Sorcerer Supreme. They gave us, these super villains, the Sinister Six kind of coming together and forming, and we've a lot of us have waited for them to come, and we were never given a glimpse of them. So when they did that was super cool for us. They kind of gave us 3 versions. It wasn't just one Spider-Man. They gave us 3, and we all saw that meme of them kind of pointing to each other, and they brought it to life. I mean, what can I say? That just made me so happy. They kind of, brought that to life. There's so much about this film that it just made me super happy. And I don't know if either of you was at the kind of press screening for it, but the amount of screaming that went on, because we were watching, while we were watching it, because they were just giving us these little nuggets, and they would hit us, and we would all go and scream at them, and that was you see the real emotions of the people. And they give you a film like this, and they obviously knew that's what it would do to the fans, and that is exactly what it did. And the special effects were great. We saw lots of kind of those moments with Zendaya and Tom Holland and Ned kind of coming together, and them having a go at Doctor Strange. The kids kind of schooling him. I really like that very much.
Yeah, me too.
I can see that Rich is going, yes.
I love this
agree.
movie. I love Spider-Man in general, but yeah, I love this movie. And we didn't see it at the press screening, Dave. We saw it quite early on, though, didn't we?
Ooh.
And
I was booked first showing. I like
we saw like 10 o'clock in the morning, the first showing.
And my screening was a lot full of hollering and whooping as well. It was so much fun. Actually, it's so much fun. I forgot that when you mentioned Doctor Strange, I was like, oh yeah, he's in this film, isn't he?
He is.
I was just like, Andrew Garfield. Oh, sorry, Dave.
I want to know how big of a Spider-Man fan Ashanti is.
Well, so I have.
What's your history?
I've seen some of the bad. Well, what I have classed as bad Spider-Man movies, where I didn't come out feeling that kind of very happy moments after seeing some of those earlier movies. I felt like a lot of the time when they broach a sequel, they got it off. I felt that they just didn't quite get it right every time, and that kind of made me a bit sad. And but I always liked the fact that Spider-Man was this kind of altruistic guy. He's always trying to help people. He's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, right? And that I liked. And even in this film, he's there trying to say that, okay, all of these guys have mental health issues, and I want to help them and send them back as good people. Which I've always liked that thought, and I feel like these days, because mental health is more talked about and discussed and being put into most of the MCU as well, I absolutely love the fact that they've brought this into the modern world in that sense, and they've shown it to you in a more stark way that these are guys who are villainous because they've come through some horrible things in their life. And here's Spidey, trying to help them out. And there's, Charlie Cox, as their Daredevil, the lawyer, popping into this, and you're saying, he's here to help, and we see all these different people coming in, and though there's a lot of fighting, and that's the weird part of these movies. It's like, you look at Wonder Woman, she's supposed to be, this very, what's the word? She's supposed to be a peace-loving superhero. Yeah. But actually, she's always fighting people. But quite a dichotomy there, And that's the thing with this as well. And I feel like they've just given us so many things to root for. And I have to say that I am more of a fan of the new MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot that could have gone wrong, couldn't there?
Yes.
I can't imagine in my perfect world, this would never have been as good as it turned out to be. I was so surprised that it actually worked, like every level, like how the much screen time they gave to all the Spider-Men, the much screen time they gave to the baddies, the actual length of the film, the pops, like getting Daredevil in, the Doctor Strange stuff. What was the greatest bit for you?
I think the favorite scene was, I've already kind of given away my favorite scene, was just the assembly of the three Spider-Men together. And then them working together to help these kind of baddies become better and to go back to their own homes in a safe way. And that for me just felt very, I don't know, it gave me all the warm feels. It gave me the feeling of this is the essence of Spider-Man. And they gave it to us not with one, but with three, because three is the magic number.
It is. And that's what real heroes do, right? Is that real heroes fix people, don't they? Real heroes don't fight people. Yeah. They put people back together again, even if they're not good people. So yeah, same for me. And Andrew Garfield Spider-Man getting his redemption as well just made me curse Andrew Garfield for making me cry like twice in 2 weeks. I cried at this movie and I cried at Tick Tick Boom as well. Like
he is, I mean, I feel like his acting also has improved so much since the early days that we could, and I think most of us had gone into this having seen him in Tick Tick Boom because it was award season, and we just thought, whoa, this guy is just coming in and making us feel so many things, and the tears are shedding and all of that.
It was so good. It was such a good movie. It made a
grown man cry. I love it, Rich.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, me and Dave cry at movies all the time.
I love it.
Really unexpected ones as well. Like
you're definitely my people. I can say that.
Love cinema, and I love what it does to people. Like the highs and the lows, the laughters, the tears, the emotional roller coaster. It puts you through. Especially like Spider-Man puts you through it as well. This one. Before you went to see it, How nervous were you?
Actually, I just went in with a very kind of open mind. I have to say that I can't say who, but somebody kind of dropped this kind of nugget about these three Spider-Men reuniting on screen. And I kind of wish they didn't, because I went into it thinking, it sounds like I've got good intel on this, because it was somebody quite credible saying that's going to be a very, it's going to be a really fun moment. And that for me, it actually made me quite happy, but at the same time, I wish it had been a surprise like it was for many people who were there. Yeah. And, for example, I didn't expect to see Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock turning up in the film. I had no clue that would happen. And the whole cinema erupted when it happened, because And I met Charlie Cox recently, and when we told him that, because he had seen it at a very, I don't know what screening he saw it at, but he said that wasn't the case at all when he saw it.
Our cinema lost it.
Yes, we were all screaming. I was on one hand, because I've got this problem with my ears, so my ears already kind of feeling a bit of discomfort. At the same time, I'm so happy that Daredevil and Matt Murdock has appeared on screen, and it's like screaming so much to see him. There were so many bits, and the cliffhangers were great. The villains also, they didn't make them too much of a caricature, even though one of them was like a lizard.
Yeah.
That was kind of a weird one, because he's not even in the Sinister Six, right?
Well,
you asked Rich that.
Sinister Six was never really six. It was always like interchanged quite a lot. But Kurt Connor's kind of not massively in the Sinister Six, but they're not massively in this movie, to be honest.
That's true. He was just kind of there, like creepy and lizardy.
I don't know if they even got Risa fans back, or if they just used his dialogue from like the old.
I think that's what they did with the Sandman as well. Thomas Hayden Church. I'm not quite sure.
That's a shame.
He was ever on sets.
Because I really like Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman. I think that's a really good. That's really good casting. I mean, terrible movie that he comes from, but good casting.
Oh, and I've just remembered another fantastic bit for me was that bit when Electro says. He mentions a Black Spider-Man, and those of us who've seen the Black Spider-Man are thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to make a real-life action movie with Miles Morales. And I remember, because my husband's Black, I grew up in West Africa, so I was just completely, we were both, well, he doesn't show as much emotion as I do, but definitely screaming when that happened, because I just thought, oh my gosh, he's hinting at something. And Kevin Feige is all over this movie. You could see him, unlike in so when I saw Morbius, you barely saw Kevin Feige's name. Whereas the amount of times Kevin Feige was in the credits on this Spider-Man, I just thought, oh gosh, they're just telling us so many things.
And you can tell the difference in quality between those two.
The less said about that, the better.
What do you think the future for Spider-Man is now? How do you think, are we going to get sequels to the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? Do you reckon we're going to get Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man further down the road? More Tom Holland?
You know what? I want all of these. And the co-producer, and I love the fact that there's a co-producer who's a woman, Amy Pascal.
Yeah.
She has said that they are thinking of this is like being 3 films, and there'll be another 3 films. So we are saying there's 4, 5, and 6 planned with the MCU. And with Tom Holland, although we're all concerned because Tom Holland has said, oh, I want to take a break. I've been doing too much of this. I want to start a family, blah, 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 blah. And we're saying, no, don't do it. But how can you tell somebody not to take some time off? So it's going to be a very interesting one, because I feel like they could still drag this on for a while, because he was still only a teenager when they started this trilogy. Yeah. Yeah. And they could now kind of drag this out with different movies with all sorts, because at the end of this, that the Venom kind of that symbiote has dropped into this.
Oh my god, yeah.
So it's like, oh, Dave had a big smile saying that. It's like, yes. So that by the time they do all of this, they could give him time to take some time off and still come back. and still do all of this. Also, he doesn't have to pop into an Avengers movie at the moment. He again has a lot of time that he can take to do this. Plus, there's so many things in this, right? There's the Department of Damage Control, which we might see something of that because they've been helping in Westview, in WandaVision. They've kind of been they're going to be helping with the Statue of the Liberty of Liberty because in this they're going to help clean that up because talk of destruction.
Yeah.
And then we've got potentially we've got a Blade movie.
We've got Kraven the Hunter next year after as well with Aaron Taylor Johnson,
which seems like the Sony version of the Sinister Six is coming together.
Exactly. Exactly. And then, we saw this bit of Ned, right? This friend of his who they're BFFs. And Ned kind of goes to the sanctum, stranger's sanctum. And he kind of says he felt like a bit of magic in his fingers. And then he's there he's almost like the second Wong in the movie. He's like the sorcerer. What was it? Wong was like, the Sorcerer Supreme. Like, is he going to now be a friend or a villain coming into this?
Wow, there's all sorts of rumours about Ned, aren't there? There's rumours that maybe he's going to be Hobgoblin. Or,
exactly.
Yeah, these things could happen.
I couldn't handle a nasty Ned.
Sling ring thing that we all want one of. Wouldn't it be great if we all had those to travel around?
Yeah.
I used to dream that I could have one of those. When I read The Magic Faraway Tree as a child, I always wanted a portal from my home in Nigeria to take me to Disneyland.
Oh, yes.
And now Disneyland owns Marvel and, so, hey.
I just like a portal that gets me to, work instead of going on trains or motorway.
That's not quite as magical, Dave.
It would make me
I'd
so
take a portal
happy,
to Disneyland.
It would make me so happy.
But wouldn't it be so nice?
It would save me a lot of money.
So I've got to ask you both, was there anything that you missed in this sequel? Because there was something that I missed, and I'll tell you once you tell me.
Oh, okay. Anything I missed? I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head.
You feel it was such a complete movie, right?
I don't know. I don't think it was a complete movie. I think some of the bad guys were a bit wasted. Like we said about Sandman, and we said about Kirk Connors, the Lizards, and I felt there was a bit of wastage there. And I don't feel Doctor Strange is that strong. I mean,
he really hates Doctor Strange.
I don't hate Doctor Strange. He's just not my favourite.
Right.
And I didn't think he was I think it was a bit weird in this movie. Like he was somehow outwitted by two teenagers.
Yes.
They
got him. They prepped him for America Chavez, don't forget.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's not. Yeah,
So I think they did a miracle to get everyone in that movie.
There was a lot in that movie, and they did make it half decent.
And it's funny, and it's the action's really good.
I'm interested to know what you thought was missing.
Yeah. So for me, the only thing I wanted was to have Gwen Stacy, Emma Stone's character, coming back in. Because what happened, and that obviously we probably all cried seeing Garfield, Andrew Garfield kind of talking about it. But wouldn't it have been nice if they kind of just brought her in? Because they brought back very selective people, and it would have been nice to maybe bring back some of this. That would have kind of made me feel warm and fuzzy. Yeah, of course, but the film gave me lots of that anyway.
But then when you have the problem that Marvel or no one really is really dead, and they bring everyone back, that's a big complaint.
Well, we have zombies now in Marvel.
But then we have multiverses now, so I'm sure there's a
if we've got a multiverse, there's going to be a Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
So
Yes. So there is hope, but that was the only thing I thought would have been just nice to kind of have her come back. But
I think we got the nice, Andrew Garfield's redemption. Yes, he got to save MJ, and it wasn't his Gwen Stacy, but he got to save MJ.
He did.
Do you think Andrew Garfield had his moment as Spider-Man? Tom Holland has his moment, obviously the big ending. But what moment did Tobey Maguire? Was it just being there?
Yeah, I think he just got to be there, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it's that legacy moment. This is a legacy sequel, and bringing him back just gave us that legacy moment. We all loved him, and I think that the Spider-Mans he was in were probably some of the best ones that many of us. Oh no,
Okay,
no, agreeing or not agreeing.
Spider-Man
Two
2,
of them the best.
two of them are really good. The third one, Spider-Man 3, is...
Let's not talk about that one.
Talking earlier of movies we've walked out of, it's the only movie I've walked out of the cinema.
Out of it.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was not great, and I guess I think maybe I wanted to see him, and I felt happy just seeing him like he was in the first movie. Yeah. And that for me just made me feel really good. He has that kind of, he's very, he reassured our young Spider-Man. He gives him, it's almost like, I'm your brother and your mentor. I'm here to
He's old man Spider-Man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, his Spider-Man ended on such a downer because it was rubbish.
Yeah.
So that was nice for him to get like that goodbye, if it is that. Andrew Garfield had a Spider-Man, but it was incomplete. So it looks like we might get on that. And then we got the Tom Holland. He's like the Goldilocks. He's everything rolled into one.
Absolutely. That is very, very true. And I don't know if you guys love the, I think I kind of mentioned this briefly, but did you like the Amazing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is very different?
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Same, because were you gutted when they kind of pushed the second movie to June?
It was our number one, our most look forward to sequel this year for both of us was that film. And we did a podcast, did an episode, went out in January. We're like, can't wait to see into the Spider-Verse, whatever it's called now. And then a few months later, chop. Next year, like, that hasn't aged well.
They did so beautifully, 240 characters coming in, 6 universes. That's fantastic. And they'd even managed to enhance on the first one in terms of look and feel.
Oh, can't wait.
And then they went and pushed it. And then, because obviously we're getting two and then 3 of that, which is great. And I had met Phil Lord and Christopher Miller when the first one came out because I'd seen it. And then I saw it again because I loved it so much. Because I was excited because when they released the Miles Morales comic, my husband, actually, I should take this chance to plug his podcast, The Swinging.
Go for it.
Oh, yeah.
It's called the Swinging Palm Trees podcast, and it's available everywhere, Spotify, Apple, everywhere. And he is a massive geek, and he collects comics. In fact, we have a room full of them where I'm trying to edge in some of my stuff, but all sitting in boxes. And when this Miles Morales comic came out, he brought it to me, just like he did with Ms. Marvel. And he said, oh my God, look, Asian in the MCU. He brought this saying, oh my God, here's the black, here's the black Spider-Man. And ever since then, I was excited to see it. And then these guys, Phil and Chris, just came in there, and we were already fans of the Lego movie. Yeah. So I told them that they were super happy. And then we'd just seen this film for the second time. And I was just like, I just need to hug you guys because you were just so cool, just giving us this beautiful, beautiful film that just doesn't just look beautiful, but the storyline is fantastic. And what I'm really hoping for is that somebody gives us this kind of real live action one, because we've kind of seen Donald Glover was a cameo as the uncle, in Homecoming. And I feel like after, Jamie Foxx has teased this Black Spider-Man in this film, there are lots of hopes that I have.
Yeah, plus we've got the computer game now, the Miles Morales, which is so good.
And I think amongst Spider-Man fans, everyone loves Miles Morales. Everyone thinks Miles Morales is the best Spider-Man.
It's true.
There aren't many Spider-Man fans who don't think Miles Morales is amazing.
What has been the most disappointing sequel? So you went in really high, really excited, really looking forward to it. Yeah. And then you came out and it was a letdown. So it doesn't have to be a bad sequel. It's just not what you envisioned, the build up in your head.
Well, it just goes back to Transformers, doesn't it? Because I was just, what can I say? I mean, why did he do that to us after giving us that perfect first film? Why that for me is the disappointment that, I just think, why did you do that to us, Michael Bay? Why? Yeah. So that would be the disappointing one. But are you leading up to what's the worst sequel?
Yeah, I am. Because it kind of gets, this question kind of gets the negative tingles going, and then you're like, that was bad.
Rich is laughing because we had a pre-podcast moment where we
did.
We discussed how he had to see this Anyway,
Yeah.
he didn't want to see it.
Nope. I watched Ashanti's worst sequel for another episode of the podcast, and then the person picking it changed their mind, and it turned out I'd watched this horrible film for no reason.
Did you watch it again, Rich?
No.
Okay.
Did I watch it again?
Watching it once was hard enough for most of us.
So what is your worst sequel ever then? Let's roll into it.
Sex and the City 2.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh.
I mean, I just felt, the cringe. And I think because I had watched Sex and the City, it was targeted towards people like me. I'd watched the whole series. I really liked it, and
good.
I didn't really think about, let me give you this weird statistic that throughout Sex and the City, which ran for like over 100 episodes, 6 seasons, right? So well over 100 episodes.
Yeah, it's back in the days when seasons were like 25 episodes. And
really long seasons. So get this, there were a total of 3 people of color in the show's 6 seasons.
Wow.
Out of 95 to 108 different partners that these women had.
Wow.
So it was quite tone deaf, because New York City being, a very kind of multicultural city, like
massively,
that was quite shocking. And then to see, and even in that though, you saw some bits that I had liked. Samantha dates in one show, she dates a black man, and the sister there's this reverse racism happening, and she kind of berates her sister, and you see some moments that weren't tone deaf in those shows. And I felt like that the series didn't bug me so much that there weren't so many people of color in it, because it was about these 4 women, and we saw them and what they did. But this sequel was, it's like supposed to be proudly feminist, but it was just straight up, Islamophobic, and just everything that it set out to be, just reversed in this film.
I remember the first time I watched it, and Dave didn't watch it, and I kind of, when I'm watching movies, I'm sometimes messaging him, and I'm like, this is really racist. Like I can't believe it was like not a 90s movie.
Yeah.
It's like what? It's horrible. It's really awful.
Yes.
This viewing, I was blessed that this was my first ever viewing of Sex and the City 2, and it will be my last. I'm never watching this shit again.
Please don't watch it. Save your time and energy.
And I've read a lot about it. I've seen the Mark Commode rant, and I watched it again today, and I think he nails it. And I thought it can't be as bad as everyone tells me it is. And then I checked the runtime, and I thought, whoa, it's over 2.5 hours.
It's long. Yeah.
Not a lot happens. It's just
not a lot happens. It's basically the same women doing the same things. They put them in Abu Dhabi, supposedly, and they assume that Abu Dhabi, they assume a lot about the women of Abu Dhabi. And it's really interesting, because you think, when you look at the amount of young women who fall pregnant in, teenage pregnancies in America, yet these women are judging the Emiratis for being that, and you're just thinking, whoa, what is going on here? And that the scene with the hookah, I don't know whether that was just, I think Dave just threw up in his mouth a little bit there, thinking.
As soon as they land in Abu Dhabi, it is
yes,
can't even describe.
Horrible.
It is horrible. And I like you. I've watched a fair bit of Sex and the City in my time. Like, I don't remember the characters being this horrible.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Well, just a bunch of dickheads, really, in every way. And they don't learn anything in the movie.
They don't. They really don't. Because obviously, it comes to the final bit, and it's like everybody hates Americans is what they kind of gave us as the kind of culmination of this horrible, horrible film. And we thought, well, they would if you all behaved like that.
Well, yeah. Quite rightly, it would seem.
You go to another country, you respect their traditions. You like, if you need to cover up. I've been to Dubai. I've covered up my knees, whatever it is. The wife covers up.
Yeah.
All you need to do is put something on the shoulders and you're good to go, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you get these fucking idiots turning up in Abu Dhabi swanning around like they're. No, we should do it the American way, which is.
Oh my God. I mean, what can I say? It just.
I don't think there's anything here for even Sex and the City fans, because my wife watched Sex and the City, she likes Sex and the City, and even at the end of it, she was like, holy cow, that's bad. Like tonalage, it's just not, even from the first gay wedding scene.
Yes.
That's horrible, right?
Yes.
I mean, I know this film's not made for me and Rich. It's not made for us, Rich.
Well, I mean, I'd never watched Sex and the City at all. I came to this completely cold.
This is it.
I thought it was supposed to be like Succession, and I'm supposed to be watching it going, they're all fucking horrible people.
No, once upon a time, they were quite nice people. Each and every one of them, I remember.
Exactly.
Like, and they've all gone through some serious shit to get to this point.
They have.
And some of it's dealt really well in the series. There's a cancer line, which is really well done, and there's cheating and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And there's domestic abuse in one of them, as well as a Russian guy that beats Carrie.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I know it all.
There was some reason you are very. You've got those scenes in your head.
I lived my first year of uni. I lived with 5 other females, and there's 2 guys on our floor. There was a lot of Sex in the City, and I think that was the final year, because that ended and Friends ended in the same year, which was 2004. So
2006, I think.
Oh, was it? When did we go to uni?
Oh, no, sorry, no, you're right. It was 2004.
I think I remember it because I couldn't get my TV to work for half a year. So if I wanted to watch TV, I had to go and watch someone else's, like in one of my friends' rooms. So I ended up watching a lot of EastEnders, which I also hate. Stuff like that.
But we all watched it in uni. It was a thing.
It was massive.
Yeah.
Did you watch the first film?
I did. So the first Sex and the City was the first film was kind of, I mean, I thought it was still so you're kind of saying that your life is only complete if you marry a man and he gives you a huge closet.
This is what my wife was saying last night. Yeah.
Which I thought was a bit like, okay, so it should only be a man and a woman. It should be really rich. They should have this massive.
They're so rich, right? They're all so rich.
So rich. How can they afford all of that? I mean, those of us who are writers for a living know that we don't make that much money. Right? How does she do it? And have this all the clothes that they wear. My gosh,
unbelievable.
The fashion is on, because when you look at the prices, I sometimes just go to like Selfridges or something, and when I have to walk through that section and I look at prices, like there was this tiny handbag I saw for children, but it was Dior or something, and of course it was £400. I just thought, wow, so you're buying this for your child who will probably trash it, within minutes. And that's how these women are supposed to be so rich. And in the first movie, it was kind of a bit like they took these 4 women but made a caricature of them, and they just put them through those kind of old tropes, and you just saw them. And I just thought that it didn't feel very relevant, but it wasn't horrible to watch. I mean, the second one was truly cringeworthy and nasty to watch. Whereas the first one, I just felt like, what, it's fine. You could watch it. You don't come out kind of wanting to throw up or wanting to throw stones at the And of course, Rich is lucky because he'll never watch either of them.
No, never going to watch it. No,
I might find a way somehow to squeeze it.
Well, I was going to say, have you seen And Just Like That, which is the sequel series to the movie? So what happened was people kept saying, are you going to make another movie? Because Sex and the City 2, just to say that it was made on like 100 million budget, and it made 300 million nearly. So
it made a lot of money,
huge amount of money. So when Carrie Bradshaw, she goes up on stage at one point and says, well, I understand why people are very, very unhappy with the second film, but it made so much money. And she kind of threw that in as her caveat.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
people hating it for like white people flaunting their wealth, and you go, but I made a lot of money out of it. So
loads of money, and I made loads of that money because so Sarah Jessica Parker.
I bet she was a producer on it as well, so she made extra bucks on it. Exactly.
It's like David Brent in The Office. Downside, you're losing your job. Plus side, I've got promoted.
Precisely. And just like that, what they've done is they've tried to bring back and rectify some of these horrible mistakes that they made. So what they've tried to do, well, they gave it 10 years. I think they thought, okay, people will forget about it in 10 years, and then we'll bring this. We'll hope that people forgot Lawrence of my labia and such phrases of the film too. I can see Rich throwing up in his mouth right now as we speak. And
so I think that's my least favorite line in the whole film.
It's like, yucky, so yucky. But in this, they have for the first time black and brown friends.
Wow.
Hello.
One of them finds out she's gay. But she totally dumps on her totally wonderful husband who, you just think, wow, this woman, why, we had no inclination or indication in all these decades of watching you that you might be. And now you just decide to throw this all away because, and I won't tell you what happened and why that happened, but let's just
you can if you want. I really don't think I'm ever going to watch it.
I might be spoiling it for people.
I remember in the original series really like Samantha, Kim Cattrall's character. I think that was an interesting portrayal of this older woman that was just couldn't give a fuck and loving life and doing whatever she wants. She went horribly wrong in this film, in the second film, and in the series they've all had a big falling out, haven't they?
And she's not in it at all. Like, she's reduced to a few text messages. And a few times they talk about her saying, because she's moved to London. And I'm saying, well, give us the London, because all of us want more of her. Give us the London sequel of what Samantha's doing in the super cool world of PR in London. We'd love it. But
I think that's the same issue that Ghostbusters Afterlife is. Like, these characters would not have an argument. Like, sorry to bring it back to Ghostbusters, but Egon and
everything
Ray,
we do comes back to Ghostbusters.
Egon and Ray would 100% believe Egon if he said, shit's going down, end of the world's coming. Ray would be on the first train to that town. He would be like, fuck you. I think the same thing would happen between Carrie and Samantha. I think they've had so many problems. They bitched about each other all the time in the show and stuff, that I don't think it works that they're like, oh, suddenly not talking.
It's very weird. It's very weird because how could that have happened? And let's just say that in this season, there is, and just like that, there's a point where they really could have and should have met. And it was reduced to a text message. And then Kim Cattrall has come out and said she never wants to. I think it scarred us. Sex and the City 2, the film, scarred her so much. She doesn't want to associate with that brand ever again. And she's just said, and she actually said, look, there's power in saying no, and I've said no. I won't go back to the second season because it not only got this spin-off series, but that has now been renewed for season 2, and it has there are some interesting characters. I have to say, Sarita Chowdhury is one of those characters who's really interesting in this, and she's one of those. She is almost a perfect replacement for Samantha Jones, and there are some redeeming bits in this series that makes me want to watch the second season of it, because I feel like, okay, if they got a better writer's room, things could get better for it. And just because it is so popular, it's loved by so many people, I feel like they shouldn't let it go, and people should just try and, I don't know, lobotomize Sex and the City 2 from their brain.
I'd love to do that.
Pop into Eternal Sunshine and just ask them to kind of remove it from our psyche, and we can just move on.
I mean, that would be amazing. I've got to be honest, I'm really glad you picked it, because for so long I've been thinking I've watched it for no reason.
You finally got a chance to just spill your guts out about how
and it really is awful, isn't it? It really is. Like, it's just
I mean, it's just the fact that it's managed to be homophobic, racist, Islamophobic, everything into this one movie. How did they do it? How did they write that film? I want to know. It's like, give me behind the scenes.
Who signed off on this?
Exactly. Because, when I think about how Warner Brothers and people like that are trying, but I think this film in some ways was there. It was created and put into this world so that Hollywood understood, what these three things were: racism, Islamophobia, and kind of homophobia, and then said, okay, we're going to make a turning point, because Warner Brothers has then gone on to course correct a lot since then. Yeah. And in those 10 years, what they've done with diversity and all of that is pretty phenomenal.
That's a good point.
You know,
so, looking for a positive in everything.
A positive way to
a positive. We can go, that movie is the reason that none of this ever happens again.
Yeah. I mean, it's still happening sometimes, but you know.
Do you think it will one day come with a warning beforehand?
It should.
It should, yeah.
If you imagine, you know, like for Rich having his little one, Rich imagines his little one watching this in maybe 10 years. And he's just, the way a child will react to it, like even my 8-year-old nephew, if he saw this film, he would point out all those bits that have offended him straight away, because kids in this day and age are very savvy to these things and a lot more kind of knowledgeable, because I think a lot of us have become more and more woke, so to speak, as time has gone on. And I think if this film had been given to us in the 80s or the 90s, we wouldn't have thought any of this stuff, because that's what we were given. They were churning out stuff like this all the time. We were watching it on the telly, and we wouldn't have thought about it. But now we are becoming more, you know, aware of these things. And I'm thinking you're right, because when your kids who are maybe 7, 8 now, even if they watch it when they're 18, they would be cringing. They would have to put a warning on it to say, watch at your peril.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of things, is that the kids always move things forward and get things better. You know, that's the whole point. Like when people complain about, you know, people being woke and stuff now, and I was like, yeah, but that's exactly what your parents said in the 60s.
Yes.
You know, you were woke to them. You were a new generation moving things forward. You know, this always happens.
Yes.
You're always outdated by your children. That's the beauty of it.
Yes. And that's why the kids who school Dr. Strange, you know, and set him up for the multiverse of madness and dealing with America. I just felt we could almost see a shift in his personality between this Spider-Man, because, you know, we all kind of watched it, and they gave us pretty much the first scene at the end of this film. And of course, we saw an almost different Doctor Strange in it. So it just goes to show, it proves your point, Rich, that these things can happen, and where the children are just saying, I'm just going to open my mouth and say something rather than, you know, be seen and not heard.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Dave has a pensive look on his face.
I was just thinking, imagine this is the stuff that made it into the film. What got cut out of?
Oh, I don't want to think about that.
You can't be like, oh, there must be a different version of Sex and the City 2, because it's...
Maybe there's a 90-minute version of Sex and the City 2 that does cut out all that horrible stuff, and maybe that makes it better.
Ooh.
But maybe that'd be a 9-minute version rather than a 90-minute version.
I was just thinking, how are they going to possibly edit that to make it better? Because I feel like in every scene there was something offensive. Like you said, from the minute they get off that plane and turn up in Abu Dhabi, which is it Abu Dhabi pretending to be Morocco or something like that?
I think so. I don't know. I don't think they know where they are. Like it's supposed to be the Middle East, isn't it? But then they dress it up like North Africa. Like I don't think that the film has a clue where it's supposed to be.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, it just was all. Yeah, just absolutely nasty. And I'm not sure they can fix. This is not something that they could fix. And even with And Just Like That, I have to say, that being the natural sequel to this film, is that there are lots of problematic elements in that also. It's just that they've made it slightly better by diversifying the cast and having these women's issues being shown up. So, for example, you know, one of them goes to college as an adult, and you know, she suddenly is seeing that, my gosh, I had been so racist, or I just didn't have any, you know, kind of black friends, and I didn't make an effort to know anybody outside my own circle. Now I must. So they're trying to rectify a few of those wrongs, just like that, wondering if it could be better edited. And I'm saying, I don't think it can be fixed in any form.
No.
Yeah, I think there's probably about 8 minutes or so of it that could be saved.
Well, it's a bad one, and I think it's one of the worst we watched. So thank you for giving it to us and letting us watch it.
It knocks Alien versus Predator 2 off of my worst sequel list, I think.
Yeah.
Or top of my worst sequel list, I think this is worse. This is top.
This is definitely worse.
Yeah.
I mean, that is definitely, because the thing is, I think they can get away with that genre of cinema by making ropey films without much storyline, but they can't get away with real humans interacting with real humans and being this way. And this is where
True.
Sex and the City 2, I think, is just the worst sequel of all time.
Is there a sequel that was so bad, the first one, but you enjoyed the second one?
Actually, interestingly, Sonic, and that's, again, I'm talking about very recent films, but Sonic 1, I felt kind of by Act 3 had completely lost the plot and it was just kind of washed out.
Right.
And then Sonic 2 came in with a bang and a boom and a Sonic, and a
Knuckles.
And Knuckles, exactly. I felt that was one that I thought, yes, I feel like they redeemed the third act of the first film by just giving us a fantastic second film.
Yeah.
Are you a Sonic fan of the games?
No, I'm not a gamer really, but my husband is, and he never played that either. So I didn't like. He's into Assassin's Creed actually. So that's this kind of film, and of course the Spider-Man game, that kind of game. Yeah. But he didn't ever play Sonic.
After the first Sonic movie, I had to download all the classic Sonic games for my son to play because he became Sonic obsessed after that first movie.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. And unfortunately, he's not seen Sonic 2 yet. There's a whole story behind that. But yeah, he didn't manage to see Sonic 2 yet. So we're waiting for that to come out.
Do you think it's better watching like that kind of movie with kids? You went to a kids showing or a screening?
I actually did. I actually went with two young girls, one of them being my niece, and her one girl and her mother. And interestingly, the mother laughed the most. She just absolutely, and I'd always seen her as this quite serious person because I've kind of hung out with her a lot. She lived in England, then she moved to Sri Lanka. I hung out with her in Sri Lanka, moved back to England. We've done a supper club together. So she's like this person who makes amazing biryani and stunning food, and is normally just very kind of serious. She has a master's in biotechnology and da 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 da. And then came Sonic 2, and she just laughed throughout it. And I think that just boosted, it boosted me as well. And, it's funny, I even like people are thinking I'm crazy, but the new Paw Patrol movie also, I really enjoyed. But I was at a kids screening.
I'm going to take your word on that one.
I enjoyed it because I thought they brought in these little girl cops, who are dogs, obviously not girls, but they're and I really liked the way they did it. Somehow I'd never seen any Paw Patrol, and I'm sure anyone who's a parent has seen it to death and thought, no more. I can't
think of anything worse than a Paw Patrol movie, I've got to be honest.
Really?
I've watched so much Paw Patrol in my life.
I think Reg trying to keep it quiet that there was a Paw Patrol movie coming out.
He's like, I'm not telling my son about this one.
Luckily, he's moved on. He's not fussed about Paw Patrol anymore. But when he was kind of like 3 or 4, we basically watched Paw Patrol all day, every day for a long time.
And then you showed him a Marvel movie. And
then Spider-Man came along.
The nice thing, I should say, about Marvel films and generally, because these are ultimately sitting on Disney Plus, is you don't see a lot of blood and gore.
No.
You see the nasty bits. You might see a nasty looking villain or whatever, but the lack of that means that you can show it, I think, to a discerning child. And the child is not too freaked out about the fighting and the deaths.
No, he likes Marvel movies. We watched Avengers, and we watched Captain America: Civil War the other day, which he quite liked.
Blimey.
Yeah, he was quite into that one because he's got pardon, sorry?
How old is he?
He's 7.
Wow.
He's just turned 7. But he's got a Marvel Lego game on his Switch that he's really into.
Oh.
So yeah, it was nice. He wanted another movie that had lots of Marvel superheroes in it, and I was like, I'm not showing you Endgame
or Infinity War
or Infinity War. I think maybe so. Yeah, Civil War was the closest I could get.
Yeah, because he's not going to understand the connotations of what's going on in Civil War.
No, he doesn't get the deep stuff. He just understands that Iron Man and Captain America have fallen out.
Yeah,
like his friends fall out every now and then.
Yeah,
and then they make up at the. No, they don't.
They don't. No.
Not really.
Oh.
But also, they're on Disney Plus. I have to say that huge shout out to them because they give us loads of behind the scenes stuff to watch. They've given us the gem that is What If, that also gets a fantastic sequel as in a second season coming up.
Yeah,
they also give us these little vignettes of Marvel, stories of these people, and even on YouTube you can get these lovely little things of how Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, turns up into the academy. These are really lovely things that they're giving us that I feel that kids can watch because they get to learn about the characters and even as adults. And I think haven't they just dropped on Disney Plus a new set of, it's called Legends. I've only seen a couple of those where you can see the best of. So what they've done is a very clever editing job, something they can't do for Sex and the City 2. Let me just say right out. But what they've done is taken the best bits of, say you take Wong and he's, Sorcerer Supreme. Just before they, Multiverse of Madness came out, they dropped this where you could just go and see the highlights. What did Wong do? What potential does he have? What kind of magic can he do? And then
that's good.
So, and you can show that to your kids because I feel like they've edited it in a way that it's not going to scare the children.
Yeah,
clever.
Yeah, that's really good. I thought I might have to go and dig those out because he's forever asking me like, who is this superhero? Where did they get their powers? What's their story? And I'm like, I don't know all of them.
This gives
Just
you
make it up.
10, at least 10 superheroes, and it's almost like a mini version of their origin stories. It's really cool.
Yeah, he'd love that.
What is your dream sequel?
My dream sequel is Booksmart. I mean, and I think when I let you know in advance, I just put and you got it instantly.
I'd never seen it before. I have to thank you because this is the whole reason I love this podcast. Is I get to watch movies that I'd never knew existed.
I knew
and
you
are
would.
Amazing, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I said, I texted him, I was like, have you seen this? He's like, no, never seen it. I was like, I think you're going to love it.
I did, and I did.
I mean, what's not to love? It's a laugh a minute. It's one of those films that, again, I had to watch twice because I just wanted to see it a second time. And the second time, Olivia Wilde was there and, Caitlin Dever and Beanie, they were all there on stage afterwards.
Oh, wow.
I just watched it and I was just like, everything they were saying, I was just sitting there thinking, I just felt like this spoke when the fact that you, a man, Rich, has seen it for the first time and felt the same, it just goes to show how well etched those characters were.
Oh, so good.
And how they brought nostalgia. It's like how Spider-Man brings us the nostalgia very well. These guys have done that for all of us.
Yeah.
I like that the portrayal of being a teenager, that, everyone's got their own individual problems. Like everyone's fucked up at that age, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
In the bigger picture, when you get older, you look back, you think, don't know what I was worried about because no, it's tough. But I just love that, like the jocks. When I was young, I used to get really annoyed about the people who were good at sport and also clever. I was like, why can't I be both of these? I was neither. But I love that. And I love the chemistry between everyone. And I like the writing. And I love the soundtrack. What do you like about it, Rich?
Do you know what? I absolutely love the bit where they turn into dolls. I think it's so good.
So interesting filmmaking.
So good. The filmmaking is amazing. Yeah. I fully expect Olivia Wilde to direct incredible movies from now on. I think that's... I
mean, how is she going to follow this? Well, what I'm hoping for is Booksmarter.
Oh, she's got a name.
I mean, it just obviously, because, at the end of this film, for anyone who hasn't seen it, should I tell them?
Go for it. Okay,
go for
definitely.
It. Spoiler
alert. At the end,
we have to set up the sequel.
So for this film, you basically, it's about two young women, Molly Davidson, played by Beanie Feldstein, who obviously everyone keeps saying she's Jonah Hill's sister, but she is a fine actress.
Show her respect, damn it.
Yes, thank you.
I didn't know she was Jonah Hill's sister. I just thought she was great.
Well, I'm glad, you went into it and didn't see her as that, which is great. And Caitlin Dever as Amy Ansler. And, Caitlin, she has shown us, she was in Dope Sick. Wow. This girl is super talented. She was in Beautiful Boy. She was in Dear Evan Hansen. And there was another...
There was a TV series she was incredible in.
Oh, my gosh. What was it? Unbelievable. No, it was...
Yes, it's something like that. I don't want to say the subject, but she's incredible in that. I mean, she does some hard work in that.
Absolutely. And the thing is, with Booksmart, for many of us, that was the first film we saw of hers. And you could just tell that this girl is pure talent and a pure star. Absolutely. And this is about two girls who just went to school. They were incredibly smart and they were just only book smart. They didn't go out partying, and they find out that all their friends are also going to wonderful universities. One of them has got a job at Apple or at Google? At Google. And
I mean, it's not Apple, but it's serious.
It's close enough. It's close enough. And, that these are all people who were partying throughout school. So they played hard and they also worked hard.
Which... Hate them people.
Well, what can I say? And Olivia Wilde, we've seen her in movies as an actress, and she's a stunning, beautiful woman. And we just didn't know that she was going to come up with this story. And again, very rare to see that 4 women actually contributed to writing the story. And this is where the nuance comes in, because in terms of it being one of those fantastic female movies,
it shows.
It shows because it's not only directed by a woman, but these women wrote it. Some of them were partly producers of it as well. And that I thought was a wonderful, wonderful thing, because you could just see those bits coming into this film. And like what Rich said about, them turning into dolls, because, every girl has played with a doll. I mean, or at least most girls nowadays. I think most girls have played with a doll on a screen rather than they're all watching the Barbie series and will watch the Barbie movie. And they're probably not playing with actual dolls these days. But those scenes all just made so much sense. And I won't tell people listening about the teddy bear scene, but let's just say we'll laugh.
So good.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing. What's not to love, right? Because seeing how they jump from party to party, seeing what they learn about themselves, seeing that, when you're that age and you might be so tight and so close and such good friends, and then you can just fall out.
Yeah.
It can happen to you. It can happen to all of us. It's happened to me, certainly. And, you're also discovering your sexuality, which I thought this was done in a very clever, very kind of nice, integrated, seamless fashion without it being, because in many films and many shows, they always make the LGBTQIA element as something that is, an other. It's not made to feel a part of the screenplay. Whereas in this, it's just so beautifully done.
It's there.
It's there. It is there.
There's no coming out scenes or anything. It's just, she's came out ages ago.
Yeah.
And everybody was cool with it. Elders were cool with it. The youngsters were cool with it. And also, are you two Ted Lasso fans?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you see Jason Sudeikis in this, and Lisa Kudrow, we're just seeing this fantastic cast just coming together. And at that point, both these two main actresses are new to us. And everybody around them, though, we've kind of seen before.
I like that. I like that the no main actor is someone you know.
Yes.
Like, I think the only person I recognised was like the hot girl, the hot girl that she hooks up with. She's like the daughter in Space Force. That's the only person I'd seen somewhere else.
This is Billy Lord.
No.
Which one's that?
The one in the bathroom. She was sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's right. Because I was just thinking of Billy when you said Space Force, and I think Star Wars and Carrie Fisher's daughter herself is in it, and she is one of the best things about this film is Billy Lord as she's not a lieutenant in this.
I didn't even realise it was Billy Lord until you just said.
Yes, the daughter of the one and only.
I was like,
Karen
oh, I do
Kennedy,
recognise someone else.
absolutely. I mean, how fantastic was that character? You know, you just see her popping up, and in every scene that she pops up in, she is absolutely fabulous.
She's brilliant. I think she's my favourite thing in the movie.
She's Gigi, by the way, if anyone's watching it and wondering which it's
Gigi,
hard to tell because there is a set of new faces that we're contending with also with this while watching it.
Jared is my favorite character. I can relate a lot with that boy. Like you said earlier, you can sell so much it's written by a female because the females sound like females, not like a Judd Apatow film like Knocked Up, you know, the Katherine Heigl.
Exactly. You're so right. You're so right, because I often think about
It's
this.
refreshing.
Films, and you kind of see, and these are supposed to be Catholic schoolgirls. There was a recent film that came out, I've forgotten its name, but they were supposed to be Catholic schoolgirls. Yet, you know, and I went back and looked at the credits and saw that it was written by a man.
Was it the edit, the one set in Edinburgh?
Yes.
What's it called? I loved that film, by the way.
You know, the thing is, the film was really good, but I just sat there thinking, this is not how women are thinking. This is totally the kind of fetish of a man coming out in this movie, you know, and it was a really good film, but Dave's quickly looking it up. But and so what I'm thinking is, if they make Booksmarter, it'll be great, because at the end of Booksmart, so we see this character, Amy, this is Caitlin's character, and she's kind of leaving. She's going to Africa, and she wants to do a gap year. And this is one of the reasons they've fallen out, these two girls, because they were supposed to go to college together.
Yeah.
But, you know, going away for a year these days is such a normal thing. So her going to Africa for a year is pretty okay, because she could always come back, and whether or not she joins university, whether she has a job, they will still be friends. And I'd like to think that, you know, Molly and her will still kind of get together, and they could do more fun things, learn more about each other. And, you know, the fact that they left this ending where, you kind of feel warm and fuzzy. They've done a cool thing together, you know, at graduation at school,
which is amazing.
You know that, and you know that they're both very smart, and they could both come back and do some really cool things with their lives, and we're here to see it. I'm really there for it.
So, would you want to see a sequel that kind of sees them reunite after that year?
Yes,
and
a time jump is essential.
Yeah.
Or you might find that, you know, Molly's character flies to Africa to see her friend.
Oh, but then we're in Sex and the City 2 territory.
Okay. But you know, when Olivia Wilde does it, you know she's going to do it right.
Yeah. So you want Olivia Wilde back, obviously?
Definitely. 100% we need Olivia Wilde back. I want the same kind of the same team to come back. The only thing I would like this time round is for the music and the cinematography to be done by women. And I would say that, wouldn't I? But I just feel like, you know, I wanted to have a slightly different feel, because this was filmed like a teenage film. And I wanted to be a grown-up version now, because they're older. They're probably like, I don't know, 20 by the time they'll have this little time jump.
Oh, you learn a lot in that, yeah.
Yeah, you learn a lot in that time. Caitlin's character, you know, you know, bearing in mind, she's going to Africa, a place where homophobia is rife. And here's a woman who's going there as a lesbian.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what she's going to learn from being there is going to be a very interesting thing to segue into. So they could make it into something that, you know, here she is, she comes back to America as a different person. Or that, and maybe Beanie's popped into Africa for a few scenes, because you want to see a little bit. I feel like, I don't know if you guys are Mandalorian fans, but with Boba Fett, we wanted to know what Baby Yoda, little Grogu, was doing in Star Wars Academy, and we did. That was the best bit of, you know, Boba Fett for us, you know. So I feel like I want to see what Caitlin or Amy is doing in Africa also, just a little bit, a little glimpse, where Molly's popped over. And, you know, ideally, if Gigi goes there, that would be...
I was about to say, which characters do you want to go back? Gigi,
Jared for sure. And we need more of Principal Jordan Brown. I'm not sure how, but maybe he'll be like a visiting lecturer. So I don't know if you guys watch Grownish. Have you seen?
No.
It's a spin-off from
Blackish. I have watched it.
where
okay.
the eldest daughter, she goes off to university, and in that, one of the best and funniest characters in Blackish is like a visiting lecturer at her university. So it gives us a kind of seamless feeling of this being a spin-off, and like that, I just want to see Jason Sudeikis doing something in it, because I felt like he was just such a funny, cool kind of principal. And I want Maya Rudolph's character, so she's like the motivational voice. I want her to kind of come. Would it be nice to actually then see her appear as maybe their guidance counselor or something at uni?
Yeah.
And then she's kind of become their kind of older best friend. Lisa Kudrow, wouldn't it be nice that she plays Charmaine?
She could just be on Zoom or something. Yeah. Like talking to her.
I love it
daughter.
when she pops in. She pops in, I mean, her character, or not her character, but Lisa herself pops into different things like that, doesn't she? She makes these little appearances as little cameos, and I'd love her to do that.
It'd be really lovely to sort of see Amy and Molly get back together and see how they've moved on differently, and do they work together as friends anymore? Does it fit? You know, they've got all those questions to ask. Maybe Molly and Jared are together, and there's a whole, because when you get to university, your life changes completely.
100%.
So maybe their lives have changed, and maybe they're not like great friends anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something that brings them back together or something. I mean, there's so many possibilities.
Devil's Advocate.
Yes.
Devil's Advocate. Isn't this film so perfect that you don't want to ruin it with a sequel? Kind of like, I'm going to use Superbad as an example, just because it is like the male version of this. That's me being lazy.
This is better than Superbad, though.
There's never been a sequel to Superbad. They've held off there, so it's not really going to happen.
I mean, yes.
This is a really good film.
Yes.
I don't want a Dumb and Dumber 2. That's a really lazy example. So,
yeah.
Comedy sequels are hard.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin, but I also want to see it. So
I just feel like, this has, like, for example, Pat the pizza guy. Do you not want to see him again? Delivering pizzas to them at university? I don't know. Maybe he was delivering pizzas while he was studying, and he's got into the same university as her. There are some really cool, this can just turn into a very cool universe in itself. And I would just absolutely love it to be a sequel. And you're right, it is the perfect film, and it could go horribly wrong if they don't get the cast. Well, the casting's already there, but if they don't get the scripts right, that could, totally be horrible. But, we've seen films like Lady Bird. There were some really good female-centric films that are now coming out, and I feel like this one is the one film that I felt I really just want to see more. I want these characters developed, and I want to see what they are as older people, more mature, and how their lives have turned out. Because quite often you have all these ideas at college. It's like when I was at college, I wanted to kind of have, by 25 to have been married, had 2 kids, and all these things, and none of those things happened. It just completely, although I was married, I was in a bad marriage, and I didn't have those 2 kids, or, all of those things went horribly wrong for me. But when I was at uni, I was declaring those things.
I know.
This is me. This is what, this is what I'll be.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't any of that.
Turns out you don't know anything when you're 20. I mean,
exactly.
Chances are I don't know anything now I'm 40 either, but, I especially didn't know anything when I was 20.
Oh, yeah. I was a proper dickhead at 20.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I think I got out of it when I was about 28 to 30. I really start understanding myself a lot more.
Yeah, I think your 30s are when you kind
of. I think if you put me in any situation with kids or marriage earlier than that, I would have been in trouble.
Yeah, no, I can relate. I think that kind of makes sense, and I know that we've already picked my dream sequel, but the dream sequel that I hope and pray that Ryan Coogler will give me is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, because that was one of the few films like Transformers that I saw. In fact, I saw that one 5 times. The 5th time, though, luckily, was with Shuri and Killmonger in I got to meet them and everything, which was cool because I absolutely loved that film. I just thought it was just so fabulous and fantastic. And them giving us this sequel, obviously sadly with Chadwick having passed on as well, it's going to be really interesting because one of the actors, I think it might have been Angela Bassett, who mentioned that it's an ode to him.
Right.
And I just thought, wow, if this is going to be an ode to him, how beautiful is it going to be as a film?
I hope so. I really, it's going to be a really tough one to get right, isn't it? It's going to be really hard. And it's had a lot of problems in production, hasn't it? It's like production stopped a few times.
It has.
Which doesn't always bode well for a cohesive movie.
This is true. But I have full faith in Ryan Coogler because I feel like I saw Fruitvale Station at Sundance. And I just remember thinking, my gosh, and he did a roundtable with us like a day or two after. And the way he was talking even then, I just knew that this guy had a vision that he could deliver. And then he gave us Black Panther, and wow, what a film it was. I can tell that you are both huge fans of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's another one that my little boy absolutely loves. Like Black Panther's one of his favourites.
Very child-friendly, absolutely.
Yeah,
Are
definitely.
you not nervous though about it?
About the Black people?
New Wakanda, yeah.
Actually, no, you know what? I was saying that I feel that Ryan Coogler will deliver. I feel that because they've brought him back as the director, if they'd gone and messed about with the writers and the directors, I would have worried. But I have a lot of faith also in Kevin Feige. I feel like this man knows where things are going. And the comics themselves gave us a lot to go on.
Yeah.
So I feel like they have great source material and they can turn that into something really good. And what they'll do, obviously, as an ode to our beloved Black Panther, to Chadwick Boseman, I think they could do something really lovely with it. And maybe you'll have me on the podcast once it's
absolutely.
100%. 100%.
I can come and gush to you about it after seeing it, but you have to give me at least like 2 viewings.
Those were Ashanti Omkar's Unequal Sequels. I think she's probably one of the nicest people we've had on this podcast, if not, maybe not the nicest.
She was lovely, wasn't she?
I loved that conversation. I really did. I think
lot of fun.
She's a wonderful person, and her choices are incredibly spot on. Like, I'd never seen Booksmart before, and I absolutely loved it. And I might even go and watch it again tonight because I really enjoyed it and it cheers me up.
I knew you would like that one. I knew you liked that one.
I did love it. Yeah, you're right.
What about the best? New Spider-Man film?
Again,
big fan?
Yeah, big fan.
I mean, it's a great sequel. And what they've done with that sequel is incredible because they shouldn't be able to pull that off.
No, they shouldn't. And they did. And I love it. It's a great choice. And thank God that someone finally chose Sex and the City 2, because I watched that a long time ago, and I'm so glad it wasn't for nothing.
I've now joined the club and also watched it, and it is awful.
It is awful.
It is awful. And then I realised some stuff we haven't spoke about. I sent an email to Ashanti going, we didn't even speak about the Alice Eve assistant's character,
the nanny,
the Irish
the nanny
accent, and which is just about
it's
breasts.
horrible. It's horrible. It's just it's cringy. And I mean, I like breasts. I'm all for it. But it's horrible how they do it. It's just it's icky. Anyway,
yeah. She said it's probably best we did.
Yeah, she's right. Of course, she is right. But what I will say, actually, quite interestingly, it links up quite nicely, is the Sequelizer guys have just fixed Sex and the City 2.
You can't fix Sex and the City 2.
They've done a good job, mate. They've done a good job. I listened to the pitch and I thought, I don't know anything about Sex and the City, but it sounds like a 2,000% better movie than the shit I just watched.
Yeah. That can't be hard. Sex and the City 2 is probably up there, trying to think of the other bad sequels we've had to watch, like truly awful. And that is the first truly offensive. Like
it's the first one that I've found genuinely offensive. There's another one coming up that I've also found genuinely offensive. But yeah, this is I know there are probably more sequels out there that we're yet to cover in the bad sequel terms that will be as equally offensive as this one. But I genuinely think this is probably my worst sequel so far.
Me too. And Booksmart.
So good. It's so good. It's just such a roller coaster ride in this. Really good, really bad, really good. I loved it. I'm so glad that I got to watch it. Like,
would you want a sequel though?
I think it's doable.
I'd like to spend more time with those characters.
Absolutely,
so that's always a good thing.
I think so. I think and Ashanti's ideas for the sequel. I think it's definitely a possibility.
Agreed. Yeah. Absolutely. Bring it on, Booksmarter.
Like to see it. Brilliant choice. Well, yeah, if you've liked what you've heard with Ashanti, if you've just tuned in because you're a big Ashanti fan, go back and listen to all of our back catalogue. There are 3 series of interview episodes. There's even 50-odd extra episodes just as a little bonus that we give you on a Friday, just because it's the weekend. So yeah, go back and listen to all those. If you really like what you hear, click the subscribe button. We'd really enjoy that. Give us 5 stars. Give us a little heart. Give us a review. All those things that you could do on your pub shop of choice. We will love you forever. And also, just tell your friends. You know, just the person sitting next to you on the train, go, oh, I'm listening to a really cool podcast. You know, whoever you bump into. Maybe it's a first date. Maybe you want to say, hey, I hope, you know, if you like movies, then listen to this podcast. It's great. You know, that could help break the ice a little. Yeah, do that. And then while you're at it, you can also drop us a little line on social media and tell us what you think. So we are on Twitter and on Instagram at Unequal Sequel, and we've even got an email address. And people do send us emails. It actually happens. unequalsequel@hotmail.com. And that's that.
Wow. I mean, you're such a pro that now.
It's only taken 3 series.
I can literally just walk off and let you go off for like 3 minutes. Brilliant. Thank you for everyone that continuously listens to us. You're amazing. Thank you to everyone that is starting to discover us. You're also amazing. Send in your emails, send in all that shit. We love all that. Carry on listening. I've got nothing else to say. Rich, you got anything else to say?
No, that's it,
So
mate.
that is a slain goodbye in Irish from me.
Irish. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Like
and
it.
a goodbye from him.
Bye!
Have a good one.